Hey, thanks for tuning in to my first build video on YouTube. This is a special project to me. I'm really looking forward to being able to document the whole thing. This is a 1951 Willys Wagon that's been in my family since before I was born, over 50 years. This was my mom's, and they had it in California and drove it for a while until the engine blew, and they tow barred this thing all the way from California to Michigan. And it's been living in barns and backyards until now. I got a 06 LJ for a daily driver a couple years ago. Always had the idea of kind of keeping it simple and not doing a long-term full build and just using this really nice working chassis drivetrain and just put that under the Willys body and make, I guess they call it a mod stock, modern underneath and kind of looking old and cool, patina on the outside. So follow along and I'll show you what I did in this first phase of the project. Everything's disconnected from the tub. Tub's in really nice shape, as expected. All the body mounts came out. Surprisingly, it's not my luck. Alright. With the help of some friends, we got the tub off. Right on. Gonna get her cleaned up now. So, the plan is, we're gonna cut there. Artec stretch kit, 3x2 frame. Willys is about 9 inches longer, and then that'll give us enough room. Take the fuel cell, gas tank, swap it, because the Willys filler is on the other side. Axle's going to move back 4 or 5 inches, and then the firewall should line up almost perfect. The front will be set a little forward from Willys stock. But let's get her cleaned up. Yeah, she's all cleaned up. That pan was just full of clay. Decided to pull her up out of the sticks and get it cleaned up. It's kind of a quick walk around current condition. Lots of nice moss growing on it. Looks like the floor is a little rougher than I was hoping. Got a hole here and then probably something under there. And then there's one hole back here. But since it's 50 degrees out on December 23rd, let's take advantage and get some power washing done. Alright, starting to dig into the frame here and get everything pretty much from here back removed off the frame. Got the gas tank off. Now getting all the little bits, drive shaft and whatnot. It's looking pretty good. The Artec kit's about a 6-inch rise. The stock comes up almost 8.5, 9 inches. And it's looking pretty good that 6 is going to work out well for the Willys body. This is just a super high hump. And then debating whether to use any of this so I could still bolt a stock style bumper on. We'll see. Suspension wise, we're gonna ditch pretty much all the stock design and go with the upper triangulated and lowers just a mild angle, almost straight. So we'll be ditching the track bar. So we'll add a 2x3 across right where we're gonna want the coils. Coils are gonna be moved in. We got a truss that's gonna go on. Should be pretty cool. The Artec Rise kit frame chop. Basically going to go in here. You can see it's a lot lower rise, which is going to work out perfect for the body on Willys because it doesn't have room for this big of a hoop. So we'll chop it off. These will slide over. Other nice thing about that is up here it'll receive a 2" by 3" tube that you can go as long as you want. It's actually going to live inside this frame rail here, which is going to give us more clearance. The coils are going to live inside. Keep plugging away. We got brake lines left, shocks, and then all the suspension links. And then we're going to get cutting. All right, here we go. Woo. Yep, getting her done. Brackets are cut off. Links off. Shocks are only connected to the frame, so not a big deal. All right, we're gonna look at right about here. It's when the bend starts on the frame. I want as much as possible, and that'll keep the bend closer to the tail of the Willys, and I don't have to use as much 3x2 towards the end. I think the directions want you in here somewhere, but as long as I'm getting enough tube, that's the important thing.
This thing, you're gonna hug the wall. You're gonna give it the shake and bake, give it everything you got. It's gonna throw you around like a ping pong ball, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
All right. Yeah. So that happened. We got the Artec brackets in, tacked all up. Everything's nice and parallel. We just measured the angle, current angle, matched it all the way through. Turned out pretty good. These are 48" sections. I know I got to be at least 9 inches longer than the frame was, even though the axle's only stretching 4 or 5 inches. It's got a lot more tail behind the rear axle than the Jeep did, or the Wrangler. Sweet little design. We'll get some cross members in here. So I definitely like how these kick in. The original frame, pretty much this was the inner wall, so the frame was out there, so we're going to get a lot more room. Make it a little nicer to take the spacers out, move the coils in. Everything's going to sit pretty nice. I'll get these burned in, but all the brackets of where the suspension and everything is going to go, I'm going to tack that in case we need to fine tune it once we get the body dropped on, so we can make sure that the firewall is sitting in a good spot with the Willys firewall, and then we're still lining up with our rear wheel well and cycle it, make sure it tucks in nice. So yeah, I think I'll be tacking those so we can move them around a little bit. Same with the arms. Could make the arms longer, but all right, keep chugging away. We're gonna about call it a day because I'm beat and made some pretty good progress. Everything's just kind of mocked up, clamped in. I got to do some finishing welds before this gets tacked on, but kind of rough idea what everything's gonna look like. Man down. Had to take some old axle mounts and turn them into uppers because the ones that came with that Barnes truss were too small for the rod ends I'm going to use. Got the uppers mocked in. Still going to cut all this stuff off. Obviously weld that on. This will get cut off. If I can't salvage this and move it, I got some pieces I can make a lower perch with a tube. That might be a better way to go anyway. Get a retainer ring on it. But leafs are going to get leafs. Definitely not leafs. Coils are going to go inside, probably at least a good 6 inches from where they were. And then not too bad for a day's work. And we'll get hard at it in a couple days here. I'm gonna take a day off. But that's how it's looking for now. The lowers, I was hoping to mount them kind of up into here more, but these have got a nice angle on them. Not too worried. Plus where the uppers are, these will probably just go here. It's still plenty to slide, and then the length of the arms will be pretty good. Just pivot points will be a tad bit shorter than the uppers, which I think will work good. I'll use the stock lowers. Should be good to go. All right, till next time. So, kind of did a bunch of work without doing video, but I'll get you caught up. It's not that exciting to just watch me do some half-ass ugly welds. Some of them turned out good though. Anyway, everything is tacked in or full welded. The items I wanted to tack, because we don't know, I might have to move the axle a little bit once the body is on it just to fine tune it. So this cross member is still tacked in. It can move. The lower perches are tacked in case I want to flip them to the other side of the axle. Just how things work out. This should come close and clear on full stuff, but I don't know if I'm going to have that much room before hitting the body anyway, especially if I go to a bigger tire. These are actual 34s. And if we need to adjust the rear axle to fit just right while having the firewall, not too much gap, not into the firewall, it'll be easily adjustable. These are welded to each other solid, but just the tacks, they'll move together as a unit, which will make it easier for adjustment. These are some takeoff JL 4-door coils. I do have the Metal Cloak originals, which will probably go back on, but these were here and easy to throw in. We'll see what it looks like with the weight and go from there. I did get about a 1-inch lift by making the lower perches. We'll get some retainers to hold the coils, but it's sitting on its own weight, completely off jack stands. The basically single triangulated. The uppers at a 45 degree. These are separate brackets, just made them work. The lower brackets are lined up with the same angle as the stock brackets, giving a little bit of triangulation. The links are, from a horizontal point of view, the links and pivot points are the same length, so we should get good movement on the axle. Even though these are longer links, but they're at the 45 degree angle and shifted back a little bit, but they're further back on the axle. The lowers are forward, so should give pretty good sweep. Not going to have a ton of travel on this thing. I'm thinking 10-12 inches is plenty. That'll get me where I need to go. Just want to make sure I got some good up travel, at least 5 inches of up, because this is going to be more of like an Overlander 2-tracker that will also do really well crawling. I mean, we still got the 4-to-1 transfer case, 488 gears. All right, next I got to go get some real bolts. Just got some junk in there now to hold it together. I did have a goof up on one set of the rod ends, missing a jam nut, in case you wanted to call me out on that one. So these are some leftovers, spares that I had, ballistic joints. They're almost twice as much as those, so that's why I went with the rod ends all the way around. And some of the choices here is because of stuff I had laying around, something a buddy had. Like these two links were from a buddy over at Wheel It, Explore It. He had them kicking around, so I snagged those. And then some of his rod ends, so I just stuck with what he had. I tend to just run the same size upper and lower, so I can carry one spare left hand, one spare right, cover everything. It's overkill, but that's less spares. You can see this kind of comes off the frame a bit, but to get the right angle. Once everything is said and done, I'm going to come back and we will gusset it up and it'll be good to go. All right, we're getting close. Got an appointment at the Bastion Barn. Lift that body and get her all set up. We're going to run the brake line on the front of the axle. I'll do a little bending and rotating of the lines and get them to work. Looks like I can take the vent and mount and kind of have to drill and tap a new vent right in here, and that'll still work, and the brake lines will still reach, it looks like. So win-win. Worst case, if I need a little more, what I'm going to do is replace this line right here with a little bit longer steel braided. I can get those custom made at Plymouth Rubber and Transmission. It's not too far from my work, so shouldn't be a big deal. But trying to stay on a budget and use what I got as much as possible. Alright, well, that's where we're at. A couple days we're going to be hauling this over to a buddy's and lifting the body up, roll that frame out, get that new chassis under there, get at least a couple of body mounts tacked or welded in, make sure everything is where we want it to be, get it back here, and start tinkering away on getting everything back together. Interior needs a lot of work, a little more than I hoped, but we'll do some patching up on the front floor. I'm still deciding whether I want to cut that firewall out or not. Yeah, it would be nice to do that now, but I need to get this on the new chassis for a while, just for space reasons and storage. And yeah, interior wise, I'm gonna try and keep it pretty simple, functional. Get some good seats though, probably some daily driver PRPs, bench seat in the back that's removable. And I think down the road I might add a hoop and come back roll bar style with maybe a hoop over the back seat just to protect the drivers on a rollover. Because who knows, this thing might end up going to Rubicon or somewhere like that, and definitely need a good cage for that. Alright, hopefully next time you see some video, this will be lifted up and we'll be dropping it on the new chassis. Getting ready to head over to Willys Barn, use the hoist, lift that guy off, get ready to drop on the other chassis. Only a couple days left. Woo! Hey everyone, thanks for watching. This is the end of the first part. Second part, we're going to get into pretty much what you see here, getting the body mounted up to the chassis and getting everything in place. Thanks for watching, and I hope you stick around for the next episode.